Welcome to my latest experiment. This is a big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. I don't fuck with you. You little stupid ass bitch. I ain't fucking with you. You little dumbass bitch. I ain't fucking with you. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast. I'm Harley Neville.
Thought you'd try your hand at the rap quote at the beginning there.
Yeah, well, you know, we like to open the show with a sort of a an inspiring rap lyric. So I picked mine this week. That's from Big Scene,
which was the one we used. We used another bit of it from last week. I think maybe last week's was.
If I recall, he was the guy that used a half rhyme, which I like to refer to as a half doesn't rhyme.
So. I think you need a little bit of work on that, to be honest.
I should have chosen something more profound, perhaps.
I don't think you've quite got it, but welcome along to the Guy and Harley Drunkcast.
Yeah, so this is a unique episode because basically we've been so flat out with all of our adventures this weekend. I Survived a Zombie Holocaust came out last night. And we've been very busy. We haven't had the time to record a podcast for you. And so now it's 2 a.m. on Saturday night after the second screening. And we thought, shit, tomorrow's Sunday. And, you know, the fans will be baying for blood. So here we are. This is the Drunkcast.
Yeah, and, normally what happens is we get drunk as we go through this.
We decided to shake it up. And we decided to start
off drunk and get drunker.
I was going to say start drunk and get hungover.
Oh, right. So that's what we're doing today, but I guess that is what we have to talk about first. This is a filmmaking podcast. This is a podcast about our lives, and right now...
filmmaking is our lives.
And also we have released our first feature film in New Zealand and Australia.
And it's officially out. The sort of the red carpet premiere was last night. No red carpet.
No red carpet. There was a grey carpet. It did seem to be attached to the floor.
It was just a regular carpet.
And it seemed quite large, like covering the whole area of the floor, not just one patch. So I don't know whether they brought that in for us or not.
Looked like it had been there for a few years.
It may have, it did seem kind of old. So, but you don't know these premieres. We're not used to them. So it depends what you think, really.
Here I was advertising it on Facebook. Hey, everybody, come along to the exclusive red carpet premiere of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. And then like 2 days before the event, I got the word, oh, by the way, Harley, there's no red carpet. It's kind of just a cinema.
It's just, you just go there.
No, but to be fair, they did have the trailer on loop, like out the front of the cinema, which was cool, with the volume up, so everybody that walked past saw it, and every single light box was filled with an I Survived a Zombie Holocaust poster, which was also cool. Yeah. So, and the trailer was playing downstairs as well in the foyer.
So it was like wall to wall with posters of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, which is awesome. And they were playing the trailer outside, right? So any like little kid could just walk along and see like exploding heads and like, blood being splattered on boobs.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that.
That's definitely illegal, but like, who are we to judge?
Yeah, well, we certainly wouldn't complain.
Well, to be honest, our trailer has never been rated.
Oh, really?
So there's no actual, it has not been determined that it's a restricted trailer or anything.
Right. So there you go. No legal repercussions.
Exactly.
We worked the system.
But
when I say we worked the system, I mean I guess we just didn't get round to that.
Well, I don't even know how trailers get rated, to be honest. Like, I don't know how that happens normally. And maybe it only happens, or maybe they just... No, that can't be right. I thought maybe they counted like how your film was rated, how the trailer would be rated, but that doesn't make sense because you can do any kind of trailer.
Cut all the gore out,
cut it anyway. So I guess that I think probably that happens when you put it on TV, which we haven't done.
Not yet.
So
that's coming, guys.
so there's no TV spot, so maybe that's why. But anyway, the film is out. So
Yes.
if you haven't watched it,
Please do. Check it out on iTunes and on DVD. It's doing pretty well, I think. The first screening in Auckland was sold out. I haven't told you this, Guy, but I got word from a few people down in the Wellington screening, and they said it was pretty good and pretty full.
Yep.
Lots of clapping and stuff like that. So that's pretty good. The Monday screening for for the Dunedin Monday screening is almost sold out, I believe.
Yeah,
this Monday, the 25th. So by the time you hear this, tomorrow. So if you're listening in Dunedin, you've still got time. Go along tomorrow night and check out I Survived a Zombie Holocaust.
Apparently there's 5 tickets left.
5 tickets. You better be fucking quick. They'll be gone by the time you hear this, maybe.
Possibly.
I hope so.
That's when I checked it today.
That'll teach you.
But so that's our whole lives in the making, really. This one thing that happened yesterday, and today,
So,
it's a culmination of our whole lives. To make a film and release, and certainly doesn't feel like I thought it would feel.
Really?
When I dreamed of making films,
I think that the issue is that you've lost your objectivity in that sense because you are so close to it, and you have struggled every day, and you've lived and breathed this film for 5 years, and so. You get all these little victories, but they don't feel like victories. They just feel like compromises, compromise after compromise.
That's exactly what it feels like.
Exactly. And so you don't look back and see a series of victories. You see a series of compromises.
Yes.
And then, it comes out and you're like, well, yeah, it's out and that's cool, but, it could have been this and it could have been that and it could have done way better. So me personally, I'm a little bit further back from it. So I guess I can kind of still have a bit of that objectivity and say, fucking awesome, man. Literally the last 2 nights we've done sold out cinemas or almost sold out of a film that we made, man. That's fucking awesome. Well, I'm fucking stoked.
I will say that Auckland premiere night was a great night. We had obviously sold out screening. Film was very well received and also did a great Q&A. And Q&As are really bad.
I would say that's the best Q&A that I've been involved with.
Well, that's what I said to Joss. I said we'll probably never of any Q&A in our lives, we'll probably never do a better Q&A than that one.
Yeah.
It was just the perfect storm of anecdotes and good questions that led to things. And
the questions are great.
Great participation from the audience. Probably about 100 people stayed, or maybe just under. And
it was great too because I really expected those guys to leave. I thought because
they went and got a drink and came back.
That was why I thought they were going to leave, because the MC got up and was like, okay, everybody, the movie's finished, so come back in 10 minutes and we'll have a Q&A with these guys. And I thought, well, fuck, nobody's coming back. We should have just done the Q&A straight away. But he was right, man. We should have let them go for a piss, because otherwise they would have wanted to leave after 5 minutes because they're all busted or thirsty or whatever. But surprisingly, they pretty much all came back. So many of them came back. It was definitely the best Q&A that I've done.
And I think, as a general rule, that doesn't really happen. So,
do you know what? It was also the most sober Q&A I've ever done. Right. So maybe there's some correlation there.
Could be. I just think it was audience asking good questions, really. So
my drinking isn't a problem yet.
No, your drinking is not a problem.
Oh, good.
So that's that.
Yeah, well, I was going to come into this later, but it works now. Nice wee segue is that I couldn't drink because I was in a commercial this morning. The Harley brag cast, as we called it last week.
Humble Harley brag cast.
Yeah. So, but big news, exciting news. I did get the commercial that I auditioned for that I mentioned in the last week's podcast.
Time, what did you say you were shortlisted last time?
I think I said I was shortlisted. Yeah. So last week I was shortlisted. Well, I got it, and we've now shot it. I shot it today, and it was pretty sure it's a success.
How much?
I haven't seen it yet.
Do you want to say how much you're pocketing there? Did we talk about? You don't want to mention that?
Did we talk about money?
Wow, I don't know.
I mean, it is interesting for the listeners.
Yeah, that is interesting.
I guess. I mean, is there any professional risk here? Am I supposed to talk about that stuff?
Maybe you might. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I guess I'm not sure. It's a bit of a grey area.
Why don't we give a ballpark?
Sure.
So I did a commercial and I got between $5,000 and $10,000 for it.
Yeah.
Between $5,000 and $10,000. Exactly between $5,000 and $10,000. just a ballpark.
In the middle
Between those two.
This is what you got.
Is what I got. So yeah, but it was great anyway. It was just awesome. I was so stoked. All this shit's happening at the same time. It just kind of sucked that it happened. Like I wanted to party hard last night. It was finally the movie was finally released. Had to just be boring old sober Joe, and then leave early, and just go directly home after the screening. Basically because I've never worked with these guys before, and I wanted to show up on time, not hungover, and not just that, but actually feel good myself and want to be there.
Yep.
And make a good impression. So,
well, I will say that like when you guys went out drinking at the zombie film, you guys did go out drinking in the week a couple times, right?
Well, I don't really remember. Because I just remember being really tired the whole time, but I'm sure it must have happened.
Yeah, and I could never, I could not
because you had
bend my head around that. But even as an actor, I can't bend my head around it, because to me, acting is all about energy. It's the energy you're projecting. It's the energy that you are bringing, to the scene.
You got to have energy to give energy.
Yeah, to the scene, to the character, to the other actors.
But so many greats that you must admire are notorious.
Jack Nicholson, perfect example. In fact, he basically they have this bit in The Shining where he clearly comes in from a big boozy night out and brushes his teeth and kind of just walks right into doing one of the most iconic scenes in the film,
right?
Where he's outside, he's been stuck in the chiller, and he's like, "Go ahead, Wendy, take a look at the." He's talking about the snowcat, and what he's done in the radio, and he's like, "You got a big surprise coming to you.
Right.
You got it. Go ahead, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
and I think it's maybe the first or second take that he does it,
right?
And apparently he was out just drinking every night doing that.
Yeah, well, so what we're saying, that's your answer,
Some people
guy.
can do it.
Sure, but that's your answer, to why you couldn't fathom why I could do it, because obviously Jack Nicholson and I, we're the same, and I could show up hungover and just do these iconic scenes, It's when you've just got that raw talent, you can kind of make it happen sometimes, So that explains it. But also, I think, in all honesty, I probably wouldn't go out now if I had a shoot in the morning, even if it was a 5-week shoot. Go out on a shoot night.
Yeah.
But I guess at the time it was very, very exciting because it was the first big film, and there was these cool actors down from Auckland, and they wanted to party with me.
They wanted to talk to you.
Rhiannon wanted to come out partying, and I, who was I? And it was just awesome. I was like, oh great, I get to hang out with this cool, big shot, Auckland actor. Sexy Auckland actor,
Shapely.
That's a quote from the film. Nobody gets it.
No, it's kind of obscure.
So I guess it was pretty exciting for me at the time, so I couldn't really say no when people say, do you want to come out partying with us, with us big shot stars?
So if you're one of the listeners in New Zealand or Australia and you haven't got the film, just go ahead and do it.
Please do.
I mean, what have you got to lose, really?
In all seriousness, it's on iTunes and it's on DVD for Australia and New Zealand. So just get out there. We're not going to plug it the whole time. I promise. But buy it.
But you have to understand, this is a long-term battle. This is like World War II.
Well, don't beg them.
No, I'm just saying, this is like World War II. You got to be in it for the long haul, because however much we sell, through all the things we've done, is not actually that much.
Yeah.
And certainly just a very fraction of our very small budget.
Mm-hmm.
And
you mean the money that we're going to make from it, you mean? Right, yeah.
So, the idea is that we have to keep going. It has to become a thing that, it doesn't just... you don't just purchase... you don't get the upfront sales that we've just made, and that's it. It has to be
continue.
That we made those upfront sales, and then through drips and drabs, through time, and through word of mouth, slowly more and more people buy it and more people are aware of it. Because this is a word of mouth film.
One day, many years from now,
in 5 to 10 years,
we might be in the black.
Yeah,
instead of the red.
In probably 10 years' time.
But Guy and I invested our own money in it. Guy gave up his director's fee when we were filming. Yeah. Because it was required for more important things, and he was living with his mum at the time, so he wasn't paying rent, so it was all G. And then so that happened, and then a few years later, we paid all this money. Guy got $6,000, borrowed $6,000 to shoot pickups for the film.
Yep.
And then a couple of years after that, and then there was other minor investments in between, and then a couple of years after that, we paid for a re-edit that was like $3,000 each or something like that.
Yeah, and then before the re-edit, we paid for some more scenes to be added, which was like $1,000,
and a trailer mix, and various things. So basically,
poster.
we between us, we spent between sort of 15 and 20.
Yes.
$1,000 on this. Now there's no fucking way that I'm going to get between $7,500 and $10,000 from this film. It's just never going to happen. So basically, any chance of me profiting went out the window as soon as we started shooting anything on top of the. You're spending your own money on it, basically. Yeah.
So think about that, and I guess that goes towards what I wanted to talk about next, which we've been on the press tour.
Yes.
Which is really...
I forgot to write that down,
the press tour for ICE, which has actually been really just a day of interviews. When we say tour, we mean a few interviews here and there, and then one, half day.
Yeah. I mean, we're not complaining here, it was awesome. But yeah, I guess it would be really great to, I don't know... somehow get that what we do in the shadows level of interaction. But those guys we've got to take our hats off to them. They know what they're doing. They're very talented, they're very funny, and they kind of made this great film, and they had an awesome marketing team. The publicist that worked on their film worked on our film, I might add. So he
only associates himself with very funny movies.
So I actually had a really great day. It was fucking fun. We woke up really early and we went on Radio Haraki and Newsboy was drunk, and so was Matt Heath from Back of the Y.
They're all very hungover.
The very fact that they even call them Matt Heath from Back of the Y and Newsboy, that shows how old I am.
Yeah.
Because nobody thinks of them anymore.
Jeremy Wells.
It's Jeremy Wells and Matt Heath from Radio Haraki.
From Radio Haraki.
Yeah. But yes, anyway, it was great fun. It was kind of cool, and they were drunk already at like 8 in the morning. They had started drinking at 6:30 when they got there, and it was like, shit, we could do that. So here we are.
So we've copied them.
And so and then after that there was Good Morning. Now Good Morning's a funny one because Good Morning's a funny one, right? Because get this, dear listener, listen in.
Yeah.
For years, I worked on Good Morning. I worked on Good Morning, which is a New Zealand, morning time sort of stay-at-home mum TV show.
Yep.
And I worked on it for about 3 years. And I always sat there. I'd arrive at 6 in the morning. I'd leave home. I'd get up at 5 in the morning. I'd arrive at work at 6 in the morning. I'd work for 3 hours prepping these graphics, and then for 3 hours I'd put them on TV. So I'd be sitting there watching the show, and there'd be these people coming from all over the place, coming on to talk about their exciting project, and then they would come in, do the interview, and then they'd breeze out the door with the publicist and go on to the next interview. And it was just I was sitting there, I was like, man, I'm so depressed. I really wish that I could be that person on the other side of the camera. and then, so what happened was on Friday, we finally got an interview, and I was genuinely very excited. I was genuinely very happy that this finally was happening to me, to go from this guy working behind the scenes to be the one in front of the camera talking,
It's a fairy tale.
It was a fairy tale. And so I get on there. First, basically, the interview is all about Guy and Mike Edward, and I didn't get a word in until the very end of the interview, and then I didn't say anything interesting, cool, or engaging.
Blurted out some stuff about how you got syrup on your neck.
Yeah, I literally, I was like, the syrup from the blood, and it's made of syrup, and it goes on your neck, and then they're like,
and it was like, thank you,
and then that was the end of it. And honestly, my mum was watching. I was excited. I told people to check this out, and I didn't get to talk until the very, very end, and I didn't even get to say anything interesting.
Yeah.
And basically, Guy got all the questions,
which I didn't really like.
He didn't give a shit.
I didn't care.
He was like, I don't really care about going on Good Morning. Actually,
I'm pretty
Harley.
sure I even said if you wanted, you can go on that.
Without him,
that's all good.
And I was like, sweet, bro.
Yeah, so that's how little interest that I had. This is Harley's long-held dream, and then I just took all the questions, answered all the questions as he stood in the middle with his mouth slightly open,
slightly
waiting
agape.
to go.
And then they talked about Mike Edwards' abs for a while.
Yeah.
And I was honestly like, I didn't even get keyed. My name didn't even get put on until the end of the interview. So I was like, who's that guy sitting in the middle? Like,
Who's the middle guy?
We, the viewer, do not actually know who that guy in the middle is. And we don't care because we're talking about Mike Edwards' abs and Guy Pigden in his movie. It was like, who's that bald guy in between? Because I decided that day to rock the white shirt baldy.
Who is that weird bald guy in the middle of these two important people?
Yeah. Basically, honestly. And then at the very end, I got keyed with, Harley Neville, but it was like I was just talking about nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, big disappointment. Big disappointment.
My mum was watching this.
Honestly, I was like, well, that... Because it wasn't just my mum either, it was my old colleagues, I used to work there, so there was some of my old colleagues were watching. No.
Well, look, if I'd have known that it was like you were hanging for
look, you're my best friend. You should know, okay? I shouldn't have to tell you every little thing.
Because to me, I was just like, well, I honestly thought we'd have more segments. So we were only on for like 4 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
So we were only
I sat there for 3 minutes 45, not saying anything.
3 minutes 55, probably.
Not saying anything. And at one point, I was like, where do I look? I was like, do I look at Guy while he's talking? Like he's like, am I the presenter? And then I was like, no, that doesn't feel right. Maybe I'll turn to the presenter. And I was like, no, the presenter's looking at Guy, and I'm just looking at the presenter. I was like, do I look at the camera? I was like, I don't actually know where I ended up looking. I kind of just looked down, probably, just looked down in shame. So I'm just, I'm very grateful and happy that we got to go on Good Morning, but I'm a little bit disappointed with the experience as well.
Yeah.
Because in my mind as well, I had imagined that the presenters would be like, oh, so Harley, you used to work on Good Morning. Tell us about that, man. And I'll be like, yeah, I always dreamed one day I'd be on the other side of the camera. And they'll be like, well, you are. You're the best. Your movie's coming out.
You're the man.
Tell us about it. You really achieved. And really they had no idea. It was new presenters. It wasn't presenters that was on when I was working there. They did not know me from a bar of soap.
And they really just wanted to talk, not even about the movie, but mainly about Mike's body.
Yeah, do you know what was really funny
and
as well?
His six-pack.
Was that we were sitting in the green room beforehand, the three of us, and I looked up at the screen, and there on the TV was, the show, and at the bottom of the show, bottom of the screen was this crawl, which was a graphic crawling along, just saying, what was coming up on the show, and it was like 9 a.m. Sewing with Astra, 9:15, how to cook a cupcake, at 9:30, Mike Edward from Shortland Street, and it was like literally no mention of us or of the film, like it wasn't anything to do with that, and we were like, crap.
Mike Edward topless from Shortland Street.
Yeah, basically, and then they revelled in showing him topless,
and like tried to go in depth about this, not having a top on.
Yeah,
like it was an in-depth interview about him not having his top on.
So yeah, that was the experience.
Yeah,
it was still cool though. I mean, I've checked it off my list. I still did it. But yeah, I guess it just wasn't quite the interview that I was hoping to get.
Yeah.
Fantasizing about for years.
Well, speaking of films, another film that has just come out. Mad Max.
Yeah, now look, I think it's very important that we don't give away too much about Mad Max, because I happen to know that several people have mentioned from last week's podcast, they were like, oh, I didn't watch last week's podcast. And I was like, well, what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, it said about Mad Max, and I didn't want anything, I didn't want to know about it, basically.
There was no spoilers.
I know, but they didn't know that. They just saw Mad Max in the description and were like, oh, I don't want to know about it, They thought you had seen it, whereas what happened was Guy spoke of it, but he hadn't seen it. He was just saying he was looking forward to it, basically.
So this is what I'm going to do this time.
So now,
I have seen it, but I'm not going to put that into the description of this.
Okay, good idea. But is there any? Are you talking about any spoilers? Because I don't want any spoilers either. Because I am.
You haven't seen it. No, but I will say. So basically, I saw Mad Max, and it blew my motherfucking mind. It was just as amazing as you might expect from the trailer. Just like the best film that I'm likely to see this year, with the exception of the new Star Wars. And it was just an amazing thrill ride, but just it's sometimes you will watch a film as a filmmaker and you will go, that's filmmaking. That's breaking so many boundaries. That's doing and defying conventions in such a way that you like just have to sit back and marvel at it. And that is exactly what I was doing, because it was just good from every aspect. And also just, you know, like we talked about, return to practical effects, return to like not just super cheesy kind of like cliche storylines with, you know, just these classic story beats that we all know too well. It was, you know, such a difference.
Well, what do you give it out of 10?
Oh, it's 10 out of 10.
It's 10 out of 10.
It's 10 out of 10.
That's the official Guy Pigden endorsement stamp of approval.
Well, look, I'll put it to you this way. I'm going to go back and watch it again on the big screen, maybe 2 times.
When are you going to go watch it? Because I'm
not sure. It's just like I've been like there's been a couple of times that I was planning to duck out and see it again.
Yeah.
Because it's been on my brain. I've been dreaming about Mad Max.
All right. Well, look, I'm very concerned because I really want to see it, and I am expecting it to be good, and I did like the old ones, but I'm just so worried because every time Guy really hypes a film to me, it ends up being a disappointment to me, and I guess it's because you know, I'm expecting it to be so much, whereas if I went in with no expectations, I'd just be loving it, probably.
Well, I just gave it 10 out of 10.
So Guy just gave it 10 out of 10 and raved about it, so basically I'm going to hate it.
But I think it's more about how, like, I guess also just the accomplishment of making a film that way.
Right.
And
so you're enjoying it as a filmmaker.
Absolutely.
Not just as a
Not
viewer.
just as a fan, although I've heard from many people. But I did want to just talk about, because, you know, I think it's got like 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. So I just want to talk about its opening, right? So it opened to $44 million. Which is good, which is very good. Now, I did say, like, either it's going to be this breakout thing, it's going to be, like, amazing, and it's going to put, you know, all these other films to shame, or it's just going to not.
Yeah.
That's kind of in between. It's definitely a good opening,
yeah,
but it's not amazing,
yeah,
right? Now, it wasn't the number one film in America when it was released. Do you know what the number one film was?
Fast and the Furious 16.
No. It was Pitch Perfect 2. Which is about the singing.
Yeah, well, singing is very interesting.
And it was a sequel. So it was outdone by a sequel.
Right.
And the first Pitch Perfect made sort of like $65 million. So it was, this one made $87 million in its opening weekend.
Yeah, people are stupid, huh?
Yeah, well, I think that's the takeaway. I mean, I guess the difference is, you know, they had this built-in audience, and you go, well, Mad Max had a built-in audience. It's like, yes.
Yeah, they're all dead.
Basically.
They're all in their mid-50s.
Yes. That's essentially it. It's like, no, it didn't really, because it's 30 years have passed since the last one.
Yeah.
So it didn't really.
Mel Gibson went off the rails in between.
Mel Gibson went off the rails. So, you know, but I did think it was an interesting indication of like the things that are wrong in the industry. Now, but there is some sort of, you know, light at the end of the tunnel, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the big thing now is like your opening weekend, but then it's also how much is your decline the next weekend? Like, so how much does it drop down?
Well, that makes so much more sense to me, because I always thought it was really weird how they're so infatuated with the opening weekend, and it's like, well, sure, but I mean, I for one very rarely go to films on the opening weekend. I go when I fucking feel like it.
But that's, I guess that's the difference between here and America. It's a bit of a like a you know, we've got to get to it sort of feel, which is not the same as over here. But anyway, they estimate what it's going to drop down to, and normally you get like 60% of your earnings in the first week,
right?
You know, like,
and the 40% is spread over the entire
of the
life of the film, basically
of the cinematic release.
Oh, right, okay.
So, you know, that's why they put so much importance on what was the opening, what do they do, what do we do with the opening? Yeah, because what they know is like there's going to be this huge drop off, and like for instance, I think the Avengers were like 62% drop off, but you know, it opened with like 180 million.
Doesn't that show what a horribly short attention span people have? It's like there's this great film that you want to see, but if you don't get the chance to see it that weekend, you literally you statistically will not go see it.
Yeah, basically.
Well, that's outrageous.
But the good news is that the declines on both Pitch Perfect 2
Yeah.
and Mad Max are much lower than the average.
Well, I thought you were going to say that Pitch Perfect declined more, as it should.
It did.
And Mad Max was awesome.
Yes, it did. So basically what they're saying is Mad Max, because of this phenomenal word of mouth, like people like me just mentally raving about it,
Yeah.
is going to have a 25% decline.
Right.
Which is unheard of. You're talking the average is over 50, right? And they're having a 25% decline.
Right.
So it is kind of working. It is, and the system is like, now we're kind of being validated with what we're talking about, which is like, make this really excellent thing. And if everyone really is talking about it, really is breaking boundaries, then, you know, this kind of thing can happen where it doesn't open massively, but if it gets like a small decline like that and another small decline, suddenly it'll be one of the highest grossing films of the year.
Yeah.
Pitch Perfect 2, also going to be quite popular. 35% decline.
So maybe it's just a freak weekend where everyone's going to the movies. You know, the weather's bad nationwide because of global warming.
I think it's more to do with the interest in those two films, but they are both kind of
honestly,
anomalies.
are people actually talking about Pitch Perfect?
Yeah, chicks. Girls.
Is it good?
I
it a
don't
good
know.
film?
I can't comment because I haven't seen either, but I know everyone loved Pitch Perfect if you're a girl.
Right.
Girls like singing.
That's a sexist generalization. But true. Those bitches do love singing, don't they?
No, look, I mean, obviously, it's a bit more complicated than that, but that is a chick flick.
Yeah, what's up with that? Why do chicks like some particular films? What's the deal, you know?
I don't know, because it's not I don't think the first one is... I think it must have some type of, like, a romantic element in it.
Yeah.
We're really quite uneducated about Pitch Perfect. All we know is that there's some fucking singing. That's it.
Yeah.
It's like a singing competition.
All right. What's next on the list?
So next on the list is a listener question.
Oh, yep. My one.
No, well, I've got one here.
All right, go.
I think... I can't remember who this is from. When did I get my first grey hair?
Oh.
You bastard.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. You tell the story and I'll think about who it was.
Yeah, so... As you may know, my hair is really grey right now.
It's definitely... the greyness has increased...
exponentially.
Yeah. I mean, it's reached the point now where it's now
way past the tipping point.
Well, it's not. It's just. I guess like it doesn't. I don't think it looks bad. You know. I think it's actually quite. I think it's actually quite an attractive thing.
Sweet.
So,
I'm in.
It's 2:30 a.m. on a Saturday night. And I've had a few drinks. So we're alone in my room. No. I actually think that it is quite an attractive thing. I think that the bit of the old silver fox never goes astray, really.
Well, look,
you know, I think that women our age are actually kind of cool with that. You know, they want to see a little bit of grey because they don't want to see some little, you know, hyperactive, you know, 20-year-old.
Yeah.
They want to see a fucking mature gentleman.
They want to see a grown-ass man.
Damn it. And so anyway, but it has kind of reached, you know, it used to be at this stage where it was kind of like, oh yeah, guy's got a few greys.
There's grey in it.
Yeah, there's grey in it. Now there's black in it.
And we'll poke fun at that. And now it's like, well, it's not like the joke is reality.
Yeah. No, I mean, like it's still, I mean, you're probably sitting, I'd say like 70% still colour.
Do you think so?
30%, you know,
I think
greys.
It's more than that now.
No, I reckon. So 70-30, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's more like maybe a 60-40.
Well, how do you think I feel over here, man? Because you know,
fuck you,
basically,
dick.
Basically, because like you know, I'm going grey as well.
Yeah.
The difference is that I'm bald. So like, kick me when I'm down. You know, fuck my life. Honestly, you know, like.
What do I have to be worried about?
Do you know what's bullshit too? Yeah. Right. Okay. So I'm a very hairy man. We all know this. We've, you know, like the viewers know. They've seen the pictures.
Yeah.
The listeners, sorry. And so I'm like I've got the full all over pelt of hair. You know, front and back, shoulders. There's a, you know, like basically
there's hair everywhere.
If I got crabs I'd find them in my mustache. They could just travel all the way up there unimpeded.
They could go anywhere. On
and-
your body. They could go anywhere.
They could go anywhere.
They would not be contained
like,
to the pubes.
Yeah, they'll be like, "I'm sorry, sir, you've got toe crabs. They live in your toes now.
Like, you are
They've evolved." So anyway, my chest hair, right? Okay, so basically, I started getting hairy when I was, 14. I thought, oh, my life is over.
Yeah.
And then, I got older and it's getting hairier and hairier and hairier.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, my life really is over now. My shoulders are hairy.
Yeah.
Then I started losing my hair, and I,
And then you're like,
and
okay.
I was like, oh, kick me while I'm down. What else could go wrong? What else could go wrong with me and hair? And then, what do you know? Now these chest hairs are going grey.
Yeah.
I've literally have too many grey chest hairs to pluck them out. Basically, you wouldn't want to pluck them out.
No.
And so I am going to look like a polar bear very soon. I'm a bear. In the gay community, I'd be what was considered a bear, but very soon I'll be a polar bear.
Now, is that a real term or did you invent that?
No, bear. That's it.
Polar bear.
Oh, polar bear.
Did you coin that?
Well, as far as I'm aware, I coined it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
But I've
Gay
it
listeners.
it seems like an obvious step to me, but
Gay listeners,
gay listeners,
let us know. Polar bear, does that exist?
Did I coin that? Did I coin polar bear for a bear that's gone grey?
Recorded, so
lock it down.
Well, I've noticed a few greys in your
chest, my chest and ass.
I have, and I've been like, what? I've been like, that's weird. Like, even my chest is not grey.
Yeah.
Of course but that's what's happening.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, well.
This is my life.
This is it.
So that question, though.
Well, I got my first grey hair, just to follow that up, when I was probably 16.
Okay, so you didn't answer this. So you got your first grey hair when you were 16?
Yeah, definitely.
16?
Yeah. I saw a grey, and I was like, and it was all the jokes.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. It was all the jokes.
I don't remember you being grey back then. I believe you.
No, I wasn't grey. It was like, but when did I notice my first grey hair? Yeah, when I was 16.
I'm sure I would have, teased you mercilessly if I'd known that.
Yeah.
You obviously plucked those bad boys out.
No, at the time I just kind of left it and maybe joked about it, and
right,
Well,
look, I can't find who it was. It was a chap on chat, and I'll tag him in the comments below. But so yeah, his question was, when did Guy get his first grey? Slam poetry. I came last.
So last week we talked about you doing slam poetry.
Yeah. So I was going to do, and at the end of the podcast, I did a passionate rendition
of the poem
of a
one
poem.
of them that you were going to do.
And then so the following night, I had entered this this slam poetry competition, and I was a bit concerned because I had been really busy with zombie stuff, and I had not practiced at all, and then
you set aside a day for it.
But then the next, the day of the thing, I spent as long as I could. But I did have a whole bunch of other shit to do that day as well. But I spent a bit of time that day rehearsing it, basically. But so I had a slam poetry competition, and I rehearsed on the day. So I went along and I performed and I came last. Not even by a little bit. You know, it wasn't I'm not sure what the next score was, but it seemed to me like everyone else was getting way better scores.
Right.
And I was literally last. And that's not good for a man's confidence.
No. To be honest, I re-listened to the poem.
Yeah.
And I liked it the first time.
Yeah.
But when I actually listened to it, I didn't think it was as good as the other poems.
Well, no, but the thing about that poem is it's not really finished. That's the issue. It's kind of this.
Needs
it's kind
more
of this.
work.
Basically, it's sitting at about the concept is there. It's 70%, but it needs a bunch of work.
Yeah.
And I was aware of this, and I was saying this, but I kind of just the next day, instead of working on it, I kind of just had to do it the same.
Yeah.
But I actually I don't want to sound like a sore loser.
But it was rigged.
But that's exactly what I'm going to do. Because fuck these guys, man.
I'm an artist.
They just don't understand me.
Respect me.
Yeah, these guys were up there. They were talking about, oh, boo-hoo, daddy touched me. Oh, well, I'm talking about the end of the world, man. you know, like, honestly, these poems...
You're talking about being molested? Boo-hoo! The world's ending.
No, like...
Think about that for a second.
Just for the record, nobody actually did any poems about being molested. Just for the record. But there was some stuff that was like, oh, boo-hoo, daddy left me when I was a little baby. It's like, oh, fuck, harden up. So did my dad.
Yeah.
You know, get over it.
Get over it.
I survived. I taught myself to shave. No, so anyway, so no issues.
No problems in your life.
So basically, this poem showed up, right? And as soon as I got there, I was like, was that a university? I kind of assumed it was going to be at like a bar, you know, and it was like not even a university, but a polytechnic kind of thing, you know, out in Otara, you know. And so I went out there. I literally risked my life to get out there because it was a stormy night, and I've got this like little motorbike, and I've only been riding it for like 5 months, and I've got my learner's license, and I had to go on the highway in the rain. But I was like, oh, it's all right, man. It's cool because, you know, you're chasing your dream, you know, it's worth it. You know?
Your new dream of being a slam poet?
Being a slam poet. Yeah, you heard me. And so what's this guy laughing? This is my best friend. He's laughing at my dreams. And so I get out there, right, and it's at this polytech, and I walk in, and you know, I don't know anybody, and it does say in the rules, like, you know, the judges have to take into consideration the crowd's response. So bring your friends, bring your family, you know. And I went alone, literally alone. Like, guy didn't want to support me.
No way. I was going out to Otara.
He was like, fuck it. I went to your open mic night. That was terrible enough.
Dog one time and was like, you know,
panting to leave,
accosted by a middle-aged swath of people, and I was just like, this is horrible.
This is terrible. Who would willingly hang out?
Yeah.
God, I hope they're not listening. And God, I hope my poetry friends aren't listening.
Poetry friends.
So anyway, basically this competition, everybody seemed to know each other, and the MC worked there at the Polytech, and he said, oh, up next is such and such, you know, he's been writing poetry for 2 years, and this is his first slam poetry. And I was like, well, nobody asked me for my fucking bio, you know, like, how come he knows all this shit about this cunt? Well, you know, like, well, you know, where's the information on the Nebs, mate?
Where's the Nebs backstory?
Exactly, you know, like, straight up. It should be like, Harley's dad left him when he was young, and he turned to poetry in his early 30s.
After losing his hair, he turned to poetry
to cope with the difficulties of his life. So this is his first slam, everybody.
Yeah.
So you can give it up for him.
Yeah,
you know,
but they didn't do that.
Nothing. But the other guy was like, oh yeah, like, because he was the one that was like, yeah, my dad left, and this is my first slam, and this guy gets a big round of fucking applause. You know, I was like, wait, me too, man. And so basically, these people did these poems, and it was all right. Like, you know, they weren't like bad, you know, like, you know, it was good, you know, they were fine.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't really say they were like, you know, I mean, some of them were still reading from paper. Yeah. You know, and it's like, man, this is a performance. You know, memorize your poem, for crying out loud. Yeah. So they were reading from paper, and I was like, well, there's no way I was, you know, I mean, I'm going to get points
lose to people reading from paper,
right? Exactly, you know. But basically, they all knew each other. They were all there. It was a big fucking hangout group.
It was a big circle jerk.
And nobody knew who I was. Nobody cared. and then, like, but worse still, they gave me like really shit scores. And my poems were not like, you know, like, I'm not necessarily saying they were best, but I knew them off by heart, and I performed them on, you know, up there. I wasn't reading them from paper.
So when you say, like, which poems you did?
So I didn't do the religious one, which these podcasters still have not heard, which is my best one. Find it on Facebook. And I didn't do that one. because
You did did you do the plastic one?
No. So I did the one that I played last week, the one that I performed last week on the podcast, which was sort of a
what's that one called again?
well, I didn't really have a name because it's not fucking finished. Called like Hunters and Gatherers, perhaps, you know.
Yep.
And then so that was my first one, and then my second one was this one, Romans 2015, known as Romans amongst in the scene, you know. And you know, I did that one second.
Yeah.
And the first one, you know, went fine, and I got shit scores. And, you know, and then the second one, people seem to like Romans a lot more.
Yeah.
And then I thought that they had to do 3. I thought you had to do 3 poems. Because they said you've got to have 3 original poems, so I was saving the religious one for last, you know, which is arguably my best one, or at least the most moving. And then they're like, okay, so that's it, everybody. And it turned out that you just had to have a third poem in case there was like a dead heat,
Right.
you know. And so basically, I got up, did 2 poems. They didn't really like them. I got shit scores. Everybody knew each other,
And you were last.
and I came literally last. And it's crushed my poetry dreams. Like, you know, that's it.
No, you can't.
That's it.
You can't let the dreams.
No, I
die.
give up. Fuck it. You know, like I don't have the inspiration anymore. It's like my rapping. This is just like my rapping, man.
This is just like your rap career.
Yes.
This is just how your rap career went.
Exactly. I started rapping.
People didn't care and didn't like it.
No. I was involved with one video that had like 10,000 views ish. That was the big runaway hit.
Yeah.
And then I realised that I was shit, and I fucking gave up. You know.
No, don't give up on the poetry, mate. You got to keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. I think you're a good poet. I think you're a very good poet.
Thanks, buddy.
I think poetry's gay, but I think you're a very good poet.
Right, but you're very good at it. Good. Okay, good. Well, you know, thanks for the support. Now, we do have another listener topic here, if you're interested. We have one from young Bevan Reed, who asks, I'm just really interested in how Guy tackles theme and character development when writing scripts.
Well, it's a good question.
Good question, Bevan.
I think, you know, like these are all basic things. So for me, you know, when I'm writing a script, the main character has got to change from the time that he started to the end of the film.
And did you make that up, or did you read that in a book?
I'm sure I've read it in a book.
Yeah.
100%. But, you know, like, I think that's a very important thing. Your characters have to grow. Your characters have to change. And I think what you find is if you don't do that, that's when you find that things like the script is weak, that, you know, things don't work. And, you know, also, because that's life, man. We change in life and we grow and evolve. And what you want to see in a film is someone doing that, a life lesson happening, a thing happening to someone that makes them do the thing that we all do, but in a condensed period of time. So, you know, obviously, you know, with the zombie film, I was thinking about how all these characters could change by some degree from this zombie attack.
So you sat down with a concerted effort with each character to say, okay, so how does this person start and where do they end up?
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, for the zombie film, a lot of those characters, it's just some type of subtle shift. But all of them are changed somehow by the end of it, wherever they end up. You know, some by a lot, like Wesley, and some by, you know, a lesser degree, but all of them do have some kind of thing happening to them, and I think that is really key. And it's the same for Older as well. You know, the main character starts at a certain place and he ends hopefully at a different place.
Older is our second feature film, and you can find it on Facebook if you search Older the movie.
So, you know, I guess what I'm always searching for is like, what is that thing? And Harley's about to spark. What?
Don't tell them.
Harley.
I've got a professional reputation to, I've got a professional reputation to, protect.
In the middle of my conversation, Harley's going to spark up a doobie.
No. I'm serious. Don't
Spark
tell
up a
them.
thing.
Oh, I can't do it now.
Why?
Because you told them.
So?
I was going to just like not tell them, but just have the noise.
So what's the problem?
Oh, you can't. I can't be on. This is a public broadcast. What if the bank wants to put me in a commercial? Oh, here's Harley Neville on a podcast so I can get high.
I don't think you have to worry about the bank listening to this podcast.
Well, that's what you say until E.T. digs this out in a few years. Digs this out. We put it on the internet.
And as for theme...
Way to ruin my buzz, bro.
Oh, you just okay, he's not doing it now.
Well, they're going to hear it. But they're going to hear it, man.
Look, I think drinking is far worse.
Yes, but it's legal.
It's far worse.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all about I'm totally anti-prohibition. But, it's another thing to cost yourself jobs by...
I wouldn't worry about that.
There's no jobs coming your way, motherfucker.
Go boldly into this new world of having a toke.
No, I'm going to have some shisha.
So Harley is smoking the shisha right now. So in terms of theme is a little bit different because I think sometimes you find thematically what your film is about after you've written it. So sometimes you're not it's not a conscious choice. You sort of think about it afterwards and you go, okay, well, these are the kind of things I'm touching on. Obviously, sometimes it's quite clear, like Older is about growing up or not growing up. It's kind of, entering this phase of your life and kind of like how people deal with that. But the zombie film is a little bit different. Like on the one hand, I guess it's about following your dreams to a degree, and sort of how to be successful at that, to never give up, that's kind of, but all of it is kind of, it's not on the nose. And I think all of these things is like, I'm trying to do these things, but I don't want you to ever think about them. I don't want you to ever go, you know what, the film, you could sum it up as this. You could sum it up as that. I would never want anyone to really do that. I would want them to go, this kind of affected me in some capacity. But I couldn't really sum that up specifically, that easily. And I was never really thinking about any kind of message that was trying to be evoked through it. Yeah.
So I hope you guys have seen it. See, because you'll know what themes he's talking about if you watch the damn thing. So, so I really sincerely hope that you guys know what we're talking about here.
Yes.
And if you don't, get out and buy it. We're not going to plug it the whole way through.
You said we were going to never mention it again.
I'm lying.
20 minutes ago.
No, we won't do that.
But yeah, so I think that's my sort of take on that, Bevan.
Okay, so good question, Bevan. Okay, I actually just wanted to hark back quickly to the commercial because I forgot to read to you the description of the character that I got. Okay, so I went for a role. I'm this young hot actor,
a young actor,
young
man.
From
his
Dunedin,
prime.
coming up to Auckland to make my mark on the on the big smoke, and so I've been doing this acting for quite a long time now, and here's the description of the character that I got cast as. They were looking for somebody. Maybe he's a little bit plump, with a pasty complexion that looks just like boiled chicken. And then they saw me and they were like, that's the guy! That's the guy! When I auditioned. So yeah, that's what I'm cast as nowadays. Plump with a skin like a boiled chicken.
Well, let's not forget that you beat out 200 people for this role.
Yeah.
Probably around about.
Yeah.
So you beat out 200 people to fit that description the best.
I was the plumpest, most chicken-skinned guy that applied for the role. Fuck, man.
Nailed it.
I am clearly aging a lot worse than I think I am.
So we've got another reader question here. This is a good one. So can you talk about an ex-girlfriend that keeps managing to come back into your life and you can't say no because you like her a lot?
Oh, this is a touchy subject.
It's been going on 3.5 years. She just got out of a 7-month relationship in an effort to better her life, but she couldn't stop thinking about this person dumped her boyfriend, and came back for the 50th time. We're great together, but based on this and what we've been doing for 3 years, I'm confused what to do.
Shit, man, this is actually an excellent topic.
Yep.
I just wish that we had it at a time when we were in a better state to be giving advice about relationships.
What, instead of drunk at 2:50 in the morning?
Yes. All right. So what are your thoughts?
Well, look, this is a great... it's a very interesting question. We've all had that girl, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've all had that girl that we kind of always have time for. We always will they can just kind of breeze back into your life and you kind of go, yeah, let's do this again. And it's very tricky. I think that they almost have a bit of a power over you.
Yeah.
They kind of have like this, there's just something, and it can be anything. But they have this kind of influence over you that makes you make silly decisions, or that makes you just kind of go each time, like you've broken up on the worst of terms, and then you only remember the best of things about it. And it's very hard to kind of logically go, okay, well, this hasn't worked this amount of time. I have to say no this time. I have to say see you later this time. But I've certainly had that person in my past, and even now, if they were to hit me up,
you'd be hitting them up.
Yeah, I would be. Yeah. I think, and all that's the thing is, like, I know it's wrong. I know it's not going to work out. I know it's going to burn up in flames. I know it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be hurt feelings and tears before bedtime.
Yeah.
And I know that no possible good can come of it. And I know all these things going in, and I'm still like, yeah, bolt. Yeah. Let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, ladies, if you're listening and you're interested in a guy...
So if you're one of my ex-girlfriends, take a guess. Which one is it? Is it you? Have a shot.
Yeah, well, we do all have those.
Yep.
I've had girlfriends that I, could see myself going back to under, the right circumstances. But it says here... we're great together, but based on this on and off thing we've been having for 3 years, I'm now confused as to what to do. Now, you're obviously not that great together, though. No. If you're breaking up all the time, this is a bit good morning, but if you're breaking up all the time, you're obviously not that good together.
Well, that's the illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You always I guess you're always in that honeymoon period too, because you break up, you start again, and you have that fresh feel for a little bit,
and it feels amazing,
good,
and then it all goes wrong, and then you break up again.
Yeah, have that honeymoon. So maybe she's just addicted to that honeymoon feeling. So yeah, that's a tough one, but it's so kind of boring to say this, but man, you got to get rid of that bitch, yo. Like, cause
kick her to the fucking curb.
Yeah, man. Like, there's nothing but pain can come from it, and I feel like I learnt a while back to kind of excise people that are just messing up your life. You reach a stage and you're just like, you know what? I don't really care enough. I'm not going to hang out with this person anymore. They're causing more problems, and I might love them. I might feel really good with them when I'm hanging out with them, but overall, they're affecting my life negatively. And basically, I just reached a point where I'm like, I'm going to cut all those motherfuckers out. Yeah, and I think most of them are gone.
Yeah, well, look, I think it's a very tricky thing, because I think also you always think, I can make it work this time. This time's going to be different than the last time. But it isn't. And that's the thing is, like, if you're breaking up with someone multiple times over 3 years, that's the problem. Like, it's not going great, as you said, because that's why you're breaking up. You wouldn't be breaking up if it was working. And I think as soon as you start breaking up with someone full stop, you know that it's not really working, because you'd still be together otherwise. You don't just break up with people over and over again when it's working great. So, it's one of those things where, as difficult as it is, and as hypocritical as I am, to say that I would like, if this girl gave me the old dial up tomorrow, I'd be like, yeah, bro.
I just realised something.
What?
this writer is with her now. Right?
Potentially.
Like, because it says that essentially she got out of a 7... So, okay. She's been going... This thing's been going on for 3.5 years with this girl. She just got out of a big relationship and she couldn't stop thinking about our friend, this person. So she dumped the guy and then came back for the 50th time. Now they're together and he is wondering, what to do because he's concerned about his future, but they are together.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not going to say goodbye, are you? It might work this time, is what you'll be thinking.
Well, that's what you'd be thinking, but you'd be thinking wrong.
Well, maybe, have you considered this? Are you the problem, sir? Are you too quick to anger or, not considering her standpoint?
Oh no! For me, that bitch be crazy.
Right.
So the problem was, and that's kind of what I realized the last time that this happened to me. Is just like I fought so hard to get back together with her, and fought so hard, and I thought it was the thing. I'd done it all wrong. It was all my fault. The first time the things didn't work out because it was all my fault. And if I could just work on those things and get back together, that would be perfect. And then we got back together and I didn't do any of those same things. And it was just as bad.
Right.
And it was just like, you know what? Sometimes you just got to accept
it just doesn't work.
Crazy people be cray.
Damn, we're getting deep on the Guy and Harley podcast this week. And you know what?
Cray girls be cray, yo.
I fucking like it, man. This is good.
And so, that was that thing where I did let it go. I would still not let it go
if she showed up on the doorstep.
Yeah, I wouldn't let it go, but I let it go in terms of thinking about it as a thing or as a regret because I was just like, you know what?
That was never going to work.
This just proves that because this is what you do with those people is you erase all those shitty times and all those mental arguments that you had and all the insanity. You completely wipe that. And whenever you look back to it, you just remember the amazing sex and the amazing connection you guys had and the laughs and the good times. And you just kind of all the bad things that were the actual real reasons and the real problems just kind of dissolve into the air until they all happen again the next time you get back together. So, you do have to, as Usher would say, gotta let it burn.
It was good. It was great. I'm glad you did that. So in conclusion, mate.
Deep down.
You're fucked. Basically, we don't know, and you are just going to have to figure it out for yourself.
No, we're saying
we think you should run away.
Yeah, you have to.
But, you're not going to break up with your girlfriend because a couple of dickheads on a podcast said it was a good idea.
No, you're not.
So please don't.
But just I'm saying, be ready. Be wary. Be watchful. Be mindful.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if we were betting, I'd be betting against you.
Yeah.
The odds are not in your favor.
Yeah.
To quote a bastardized version of the Hunger Games.
That amazing
shit film.
So now I've just got to, speaking of this is a good topic because this ties right into relationships.
Yep.
I came up with the other day the sex spectrum.
Okay.
The sextrum.
Yep.
So this is the phases of sex in a relationship.
Okay, cool. So
I'm going to lay this one on you.
So we are going to find out what it's like to be in a relationship and have sex with Guy.
This is all based on scientific research.
Oh, so this is not a personal...
It's only personal and... yes, of course it's personal, but...
Okay, so it's going to be what it's like to talk to...
I think this is universal.
Okay.
This is universal.
Let's see if we agree, dear listener.
Okay. So this is the phases of sex over the life cycle of a relationship. Okay. Start off. That was terrible. We can do better sex.
Mm-hmm.
Moving into. That was okay. We can do better sex.
Mm-hmm.
Moving into. That was good, but there's still a ways to go sex.
Mm-hmm.
Then we were into. That was great, but you haven't quite made the greatest hits list of sex.
Mm.
Now you're into, mind-blowingly awesome, collapse in a sweaty heap in the best adult activity you can do, sex. Mm-hmm. Going to really good, very comfortable with each other sex. Next is good, but relying on previously built-up intimate knowledge to get you there sex.
Mm-hmm. That one's totally true.
Then you got...
Yeah, touch my butt.
Still getting off, but definitely going through the motion sex. Then you've got really lazy, wish you weren't having sex, and imagining someone else sex.
Did you make this up?
Yeah.
That's genius.
And finally, you've got pretend you're too tired and wait for your partner to go to sleep / leave the house and then have a secret wank sex.
It's genius. You should put that on the internet, man.
This is the internet.
No, but you should write it up. You should put it in a blog, man. Put it on you got to write that shit up. Put it out there, man. That'll take off. It's all true.
So that's the sex spectrum.
Secretly have all the way. Genius.
You just have to decide where you are on that spectrum and hope you're kind of in the middle.
Genius. It's the best thing you've written. It's the best thing you've written.
Of everything I've done in 16 years, that's the best thing I've come up with.
That is exactly the type of thing you'd see on BuzzFeed, written up on a little graphic, the stages of sex. Mate, that has the potential to get literally millions of views on BuzzFeed and that type of thing.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That's like Harley's poems. This is what I do.
This is what Guy
Think
contributes.
of the sex spectrum. So, where are you hitting the sex spectrum?
Oh, look, mate, I'm in a relationship, and let me tell you,
you're in the
I would not.
mind-blowingly.
Well, I would not talk about my
These things
intimate
on the
relations with my girlfriend on the podcast because she would not appreciate it, and I am a very respectful man, and I simply I couldn't possibly talk about
Must
that.
decline.
And I love you, baby, if you're listening.
Shit, I was trying to get some dirt there at the end.
Please don't be angry.
No deal.
No deal.
No go.
No deal. But I'll tell you this. I am very happy. I'm a happy man.
I'm very happy in the spectrum that I'm in.
Yes.
Let's just say that.
I'm a happy guy. So let's change the topic.
I'm a happy guy.
Let's change the topic.
Well, that's it. That's us.
You can tell who's boss, right?
I'm all. That's it. That's all I've got.
Okay. Well, we're at a minute. Oh yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Cool. Well, look. We better slap out this other one last listener topic, which was from Jasper JJH. His topic was hemorrhoids. Question mark. Because, basically, I guess he's asking what's the deal with hemorrhoids or what we think about them.
What's our take on hemorrhoids?
Have you ever had hemorrhoids?
Definitely had hemorrhoids before.
You have had hemorrhoids?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought the answer was going to be no, so let's talk about this.
Have had hemorrhoids?
Oh, well, that's great because this actually leads into a medical condition of mine that I want to talk about. So
oh, amazing.
This is perfect.
Look, it's all just a result of a bad diet, man.
Yeah.
And drinking too much.
And
sometimes.
what is a hemorrhoid? It's like when you're like the inside of your butt comes out.
Yeah.
It's like your intestine wall has pooped out.
Yeah, or it starts bleeding.
Ooh, Jesus.
Yeah. And sort of becomes inflamed, I guess.
Jesus. Jasper JJH.
Yeah. So, to be honest, the solution was just not eat terrible shit 24/7. Simple as that. It's like just eat, and also like don't have like half a bottle of bourbon every sort of couple of days. These are
cut back on that half bottle of cheap bourbon.
Are simple solutions to avoid getting hemorrhoids. And I think if you just have a relatively healthy, like only semi-healthy diet and don't have half a bottle of bourbon every couple of days, you won't you won't have to suffer from them.
Right, okay. So poor old Jasper JJH, I think that they probably just wrote down hemorrhoids as kind of a joke.
Oh, yeah.
A joke topic. And now everybody thinks that Jasper JJH on Facebook, find this person.
I think he wants to know.
Has hemorrhoids.
She wants to know.
He or she has hemorrhoids.
Yeah.
Well, that'll teach you to fuck with us. Yeah, well, look, let's touch on another, awkward situation.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about this for all the people out there suffering from the same thing. Yeah, my pilonidal sinus is back,
Otherwise known as hairy buttitis. For those wondering.
also known as hairy buttitis.
Yeah,
because basically what it is, right, is it's like a hole that forms at the top of your butt crack, basically.
The base of your tailbone.
And it's essentially like they don't know exactly what causes it, and it does happen to women as well.
Yep.
And basically it's like this little hole that forms there, but they think it has something to do with a hair getting kind of ingrown at some point, you know. But it's not like a big deal. It's not like a pimple. It's just kind of this. Basically, it's a hole that opens and stays there until you get rid of it with the surgery.
Yeah.
So it's this hole that heals open, and it's kind of annoying to have.
But it creates like this giant ingrown style inflammation.
Yeah, which can get infected and painful.
Yeah.
Now look, I don't have any issues like that. but I had a pilonidal sinus like 7 years ago, right? And I'd had it for ages, and I kind of just lived with it basically. Yeah. And then one day it got infected, and I was like, fuck, I'm so much pain. So I waddled my ass over to the emergency doctor, and he was like, "Oh, that's it's infected. I'll operate." And he operated on it right there. But the thing about getting a pilonidal sinus fixed up, right, is they don't just open it up and chop it out and sew it back up and send you home. But what happens is they cut it open, and the idea is that it heals from the bottom out. Yeah. So if it's a tunnel, say a centimetre or an inch long, they want it to heal millimetre by millimetre from the bottom. So every day you've got to go into the hospital and get bandages and shit shoved in there to keep it open. Yeah. Well, mine's back. 7 years later, I'm going to have to go get another friggin' surgery. Yeah. And I got to go to the hospital every day. And on top of that, I'll take some time off work. I'm actually okay with that.
Yeah. Well, they'll probably pay you.
Yeah, I'll get sick leave, surely.
Yeah, well, so you didn't let it heal.
No, I did. I think it's just basically...
They can come back.
They can, exactly, that's the thing. They can come back. And it's been 7 or 8 years, but, it's fucking back. So, look, now the thing is, I happen to know that a lot of people suffer from this because I've had quite a few friends, just randomly, it's kind of come up in conversation at some point, and I've been like, oh, wow, that's... kind of nice for me. I feel like shit. At least we've got something in common, At least we've got. I feel your pain,
At least we've got hairy buttitis in common.
and so I've had a few friends talk about it, but also I'll tell you something else. I invented a word, right? I invented this word smeat. And it is, it's the word for the seat meat, which is the blood, feces, and hair that you see around the toilet, the top of the toilet seat. Sometimes, if if you walk into the public toilet or something like that, and it's this at the top of the thing there. Sometimes, honestly, it's like, how does blood get there? Well, now I know. It's it's a pilonidal. Somebody out there has an infected pilonidal sinus,
or
and they're cramping.
Hemorrhoids.
Or no, but it's at the top of the seat.
Right.
Right where your top of your butt crack is, and so. For example, at my old job, which I won't name, I used to see it all the time. Somebody would just leave the smeat on the seat, and they wouldn't even wipe it, and then it was just blood and stuff, and it's obviously very common. I don't know. I never found out who the culprit was, but I was very unimpressed with them.
But if you are suffering from hairy buttitis, just know that you're not alone.
Basically.
Yeah. No, I know. If you, it's interesting that you talk about that because I actually have a friend who told me that they went in for that surgery, right?
Yeah.
And they went too deep and they nicked an
artery and they died.
No, and they were basically in the hospital for 2 weeks.
Right.
Or 3 weeks recovering, and then they were off for a long time after that because it took a long time to
mate,
repair.
I'm about to go.
So don't worry about it. So what I'm saying is, don't worry about it. Don't be nervous.
basically, my plan was, now that all this zombie stuff should hopefully settle down a little bit, I was thinking, cool, I'll have some time and I'll cruise in and get an operation on my ass. That's what I'll do for fun at the moment.
Well, look, I have suffered from this thing as well.
I don't think I knew that.
Did you not know that?
I thought that you coined hairy buttitis when I told you in Wellington I had it years ago.
I told you then, I'm pretty sure. So I've had that operation.
Right.
As well. And, but mine was...
Oh, well, good.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
So we're bros and everything, man. We're total butt bros, man. We're total butt bros.
So, yeah, good.
And mine was a really long recovery period.
Right.
Because it was really bad.
Right.
So, like, they had to go really deep.
Ooh.
So they were basically...
Deep in your butt.
Deep in my ass.
Yeah.
They went deep in my ass.
Yeah.
And so basically what they did is they were like, so what happens is, like, if it's not really deep, they can just stitch it up. And then they tried to do that, stitches didn't work immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately didn't work. And they're like, so the other way is we just have to pack it for however long it takes to heal. And now for me, it took like 6 months because it was so deep.
So did you have to keep going back in every day?
Every day, because after a while it's healing more. So you do it every like maybe 2 times a week or 3 times a week. And then less and less and less. But
basically they're ripping open and holding open this wound so that it heals slowly from the bottom.
Yeah, they're just...
As opposed to healing at the top. You know, if it heals at the top, then you've just got like a cavity.
Yes.
You know, so they do have to bust it open if you leave it for a couple of days.
Don't have to bust it open because it's just open. So it's open.
Right.
They pack the stuff in.
Yeah.
They take that out. They pack the more stuff in.
Yeah.
But it's just slowly building up.
Yeah.
And the layer is slowly, the scar tissue is slowly building up.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I couldn't go to the gym at the time. I couldn't do anything. And it made what that whole experience for me was, I was just like, man, being healthy, just normally healthy, where you can just walk around and just live your life and not have any issues, is a real blessing. Yeah. And so that was my big takeaway, where I was like, I now, like, when it finally healed, and like at one point I was like, is this ever going to heal? They're going to have to do another operation to heal it? And I was like, man, it's just so good to just be alive and healthy and not have to worry about anything like that. Okay. So I appreciate that.
So you should appreciate that, dear listener. You should also appreciate that we are going to end this podcast very soon, but I did have two quick questions about that. One, is it all G now?
So for the last 10 years, it's been all good.
Well, the second question was, how old were you?
So I was 19.
Right.
But
because I was like 26.
So I was 19, but they also said, like,
why didn't you? I'm sure you didn't tell me at the time about this hairy buttitis. I feel like you must have been too embarrassed at 19 to tell me.
Maybe, but they were like, basically they were like, you should have got this done at 16. Like, so this has actually created quite a problem. Yeah. And I also said, like, well, what happens if you don't do anything? And they're like, oh, then you have a real problem. Yeah. Like later on. Yeah. So you can't just keep leaving it. Yeah. So that was my experience of that.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to have to go through for the second time.
But I will say...
This is the problem with having a hairy fucking ass.
Yeah. So this is what you got to look out for. You got a hairy butt. This could happen to you.
This could happen to you. And it does happen to girls.
It does happen to girls, and they don't have hairy butts. Yeah. It just happens.
Yeah. Well, presumably they've still got those little hairs. There's some little hairs.
Yeah, probably.
Must be the problem. I don't know.
But also, I will say that if I sit down on a certain angle for a couple of hours, it feels a little bit sore.
Hairy buttitis starts playing up.
I think it's just where that is healed.
Your creaky butt starts playing up.
Yeah, basically it's like arthritis of the butt. Yeah. That's what I've got now. Okay, through my operation, I've got arthritis of the butt.
Okay, good. So, guys, I think that on arthritis of the butt and hairy buttitis, we will leave it. We went
down a path today.
We'll leave it.
Not sure. Not sure about it.
To be honest, I could keep talking, but I think we've reached the end of the podcast.
It's time to go.
People have heard enough from us. Jeez, I'm starting to sober up and I'm embarrassed. So on hairy buttitis, we'll leave it. Please go out, find the DVD for I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. Otherwise, get it on iTunes if you have to be in New Zealand, Australia at the moment. But please do, that would be amazing. And there's another screening tomorrow night, if you're listening to this on Sunday, in Dunedin. So make sure you get along there if you are in Dunedin.
Have a good time. We'll see you later.
Goodbye. You've been listening to the Guy and Harley podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.